we want to welcome to the July 14, 2023 meeting at the Rotary Club of Beavercreek. I want to thank our greeter, Alex Zaharia. Eric Marcus, being Ticket Master, Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Zwick for our great programs. Jim Gundel for handling our website. And I would like to invite Denny Jarvie to give us an invocation.
Good. Would you join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, the giver of all good, we thank you for our daily food. May Rotary friends and Rotary Way help us to serve you all our days. Amen.
Thanks, Denny. Got a secretary's report. Joe Jenkins.
Yeah, 51%, I know that natural loud, so. And then we have one guest, Jill Waters from the Oakwood. Oh, you have a guest too?
Yeah, Becca's here. Oh, like that.
Hi, Becca.
Yeah.
And Jill's getting a preview because in 2 weeks she's going to be our speaker. It'll be the same amount of applause for our next person at the mic. Sergeant at Arms, Don Adams.
Maybe less.
Don't get carried away.
I took so there. That's a common. This thing is just.
Today is July 14, 2023. It is the 195th day of the year. It's hard to believe we're that far into the year already. Today we recognize Bastille Day, Collective Car Appreciation Day, International Nude Day. Notice nobody's celebrating that right now. Thank you. In fact, National Grand Marnier or Marnier Day, National Macaroni and Cheese Day, National Motorcycle Day, Pandemonium Day. And we also celebrate the same as we did last week, Air Conditioning Appreciation Days. So with days like this, we need it. A celebration of the Horse Day, Creative Maladjustment Week, and New Greek Recreation Weekend. On this day in 1789 is Bastille Day. The French Revolution began with the storming of Bastille Prison in Paris. It's now known as celebrated as France's National Day. In 1798, the first direct U.S. federal tax on states was enacted and financed military buildup, which has got worse ever since. In 1870, the United States Congress granted Mary Todd Lincoln a lifetime pension in the amount of $3,000 a year. In 1891, American John T. Smith patented the cork board. And I just can't imagine this much rain, but in 1911, 46 inches of rain fell in the Philippines. They had what, 12 inches up in the northeast, and I don't know what they'll get out of that. In 1914, American engineer Robert Goddard was granted the first patent for liquid-fueled rocket design. One that's kind of special to me because this is where I'm from. I didn't realize we had a battleship. In 1945, the battleship USS South Dakota was the first U.S. ship to bomb Japan. The thing I missed the most, it happened in 1969, the United States $500 bill, $1,000 bill, $5,000 bill, and $10,000 bill were officially withdrawn from circulation. I'm going to carry all those once, it's just too much. And in 2014, the Church of England voted in favor of allowing women to become bishops. In our club, this week. We have one partner birthday. Shannon Graham's wife, Brendan. Yeah. July 9th. I'm sorry, anything for that? We already did that. Okay. And the wedding anniversary, Carrie and Jay Sauer, 35 years. I came up with a couple of interesting news articles. Off the coast of California, you want to be careful if you're surfing because there's now a sea otter that's been attacking surfers and biting their boards. He's just bored. And on February 14th, 1904, someone curious about emerging possibilities of a key force of nature checked out James Clerk's Maxwell's An Elementary Treatise to Electricity from the Free Library. It took 119 years for them to take it back. Somebody found it in a donation of books recently. And apparently people in Nevada don't like people in California. There's a gentleman that tried to get a license plate which read GOBK2CA, which is short for Go Back to California. And they say don't mess with Mama Bear, but apparently you don't mess with mamas either, because there was a Maine woman who was bitten by a bear in her backyard while defending her pet dog. She was tending her garden in Porter when her dog took off into the woods barking at something. And in short order, the dog was racing back to her with a black bear in hot pursuit. Kelly stood her ground, made herself appear large like you're supposed to, and punched the bear in the nose. In suburban Chicago, there was a man that's facing firearm charges after he told officers he accidentally shot himself in the leg while dreaming that an intruder was breaking into his home. Apparently, he didn't have a permit to carry the gun, so now he's being charged with that. Some interesting thoughts. You don't need a parachute to go skydiving. You need a parachute to go skydiving twice. Letting go of a loved one can be hard, but sometimes it's the only way to survive a rock-climbing catastrophe. Positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will annoy enough other people to make it worth the effort. If you build a man on fire, he'll be warm for a day. Set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Isn't it odd that every time everyone automatically assumes that the goo in soap dispensers is soap? I like to fill mine with mustard just to teach them a lesson of trust. It's never a good idea to keep both feet firmly planted on the ground. You'll have trouble putting on your pants. Does someone believe you when you say there's 4 billion stars, but not when you say it's wet paint? And the difference between a northern fairy tale and a southern fairy tale? A northern fairy tale begins once upon a time. A southern fairy tale begins, you make them believe this. And really, the last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on the list. Having lost weight over the past few years, a lady was discarding things from her wardrobe that no longer fit. Her 7-year-old niece was watching her as she held up a huge pair of slacks. Wow, the lady said, I must have worn these when I was 183. Her niece looked at her puzzled and said, how old are you now? There was a mother firefly taking her children for a walk near her desk. They came to a dark woods. Said, all right, kids, she ordered, line up, and whatever happens, don't shine your light. There are owls in the forest and they might fly down and eat you. The small fireflies did as they were told, with the youngest firefly at the end of the line. As they were moving cautiously along, suddenly the mother saw a light in the back. Stop, she said. Who lit that light back there? I did, admitted the youngster. You heard what I told you. Why did you disobey? Well, the little one said, when you got a glow, you got a glow. Yeah.
That's why you only get one class.
Yeah. You're welcome to do this.
Fire and back.
A man walks by his wife and says, why are you trying to reach the ceiling with your legs? She replies, you don't understand these things, Carl. It's yoga. This is the position of the candle. He replies, does the fact that you just farted have anything to do with it? Shut up. It is incentive. It's a scented candle. Walk away. Several women appeared in court, each accusing the other of causing trouble that they were having in the apartment building they all live. The judge, with solemn like wisdom, decreed, okay, I'm ready to hear the evidence. I'll hear from the oldest one first. The case was dismissed for lack of testimony. Pastor, old-time pastor, was riding furiously down the road on his horse, hurrying to get to church on time. Suddenly his horse stumbled and threw him to the ground. Lying in the dirt, his body racked with pain. The pastor called out, all you angels in heaven, help me get back on my horse. With extraordinary strength, he leaped on the horse's back and fell off the other side. From the ground again, he called out, all right, just half of you angels this time. Quotes for today, I've got 3 of them. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. It's impossible to live without falling or failing at some time or something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. In which case, you fail by default. The reason why we struggle with insecurity is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. Today's lines. If you've eaten macaroni and cheese in the last week, that's $1. If you are creatively maladjustment, and I believe we all are, that's $1. If you've ever used a corkboard, that's $1. If you've ever had a confrontation with a bear, that's $1. If you've ever ridden a horse, that's $1. And if you're not wearing your Rotary pin, that's $1. Nominated for $5.
Congress should be full of money now. Some pretty heavy fines. Who has happy bugs? Bugs? Well, I can give one. I'm happy to see Dr. Brumfield be able to make it today. Thanks for coming today, sir. And Jonathan, did you want to greet everybody here real quick? He's already greeter, so I didn't want to miss out on the other.
So he was standing outside greeting us, I saw him.
What's that?
Steve Brown's here.
Oh, hi, Steve.
I got a happy buck.
Yes, sir.
No one's making fun of me being here.
The day is early, sir.
Sir.
They're happy bucks. Shannon.
I got a couple happy bucks. So, my niece Brianna wanted to, join us today. She's gonna start working with me, and probably, help work out a lot of problems I've had. She's been over in Chicago, with college, and she's decided to come home and finish up, and, she is a young entrepreneur and, quite brilliant. So I'm happy she's here with us today.
Very welcome. Thank you. Any happy bucks? Okay, Stephen Brown, I'd like you to start with announcing, give us a preview of next week.
Yes, next week we have a meeting here. It is our golf outing.
Yeah.
So if you've not signed up, please sign up as a golfer. We definitely need some more golfers. We got some great prizes. I think Swig, Don and this guy over here. for helping out with that. But again, normal meetings at noon, I would show up a little bit earlier than that. And then, or 11:30, and then after the meeting, we'll be out on the course. So the weather's gonna be perfect. Probably gonna be 65, that's a little breeze, so I look forward to it.
Okay. Nice.
Then I'd like to invite Jim Rudd up. Oh, I got a ticket drawn. 942964. Sandy Bear. All right, looking for the Queen of Hearts. Been big here at Beavercreek lately.
942.
6-4.
Tom Cruise. All right, I'd like to invite Jim Rudd up to introduce our presenters today.
Let me begin by introducing Master Sergeant, retired Carolyn Sargent. Carolyn served 25 years in the Air Force in the band career field. While stationed here at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, she played the clarinet, bass clarinet in the concert bands, ceremonial band, Soaring Winds. She was a founding member of Kitty Hawk Clarinet Quartet. Some of her additional duties with the band included band library, administration, on-the-job training, operations, supply, non-commissioned officer in charge of publicity. She had a number of memorial performances. She participated in an inaugural parade of President George H.W. Bush. Ceremonies she was involved in, and she honored several presidents, General retired Jimmy Doolittle, Brigadier General retired Jimmy Stewart, and Bob Houghton. She performed in the 1995 Dayton Peace Accords and 2006 reunion of Doolittle Raiders and the Hanaway Taxi retirement ceremony. She's co-founder of Freedom Eagle Flute Circle for Veterans, which is part of the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 776. Some of you might recognize her who attend our Flags for Heroes. She's provided the music at several of those, and most recently this year's Memorial Day ceremony at Behold Church. Personally, I know her as she's a fellow parishioner of St. Mark's Church, and she's provided music at numerous worship services for our church. Our second presenter, or I guess performer, will be Lee Gould. She's a retired civil servant, and she has played the Native American style flute for 6 years. She's a member of the American Legion Auxiliary. She assists with the Freedom Eagle Veteran Flute Circle, member of the Miami Valley Flute Circle, and performed with Mystic Flute and Tribal Drums. In November of 2022, she performed at a Veterans Day concert at the International Peace Museum in Dayton, and she has also performed for the Enon Library, Enon Senior Center, and Alley Church Vacation Bible School. So with that, please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Carolyn and Lee.
Ready, we're the Freedom Eagle Veterans Flute Circle, and we're gonna start by playing. This song. I neglected to charge the battery, so we'll see. We may be playing without the mic. Can you hear it? Yeah. These flutes we provide free for veterans who participate in our program. We're a part of the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 776, and we raise money to buy these flutes. So if you're inclined to give a donation, we'd really appreciate it. We meet once a month at the Miami Valley Military History Museum in Fairborn. If you're a veteran or you know a veteran who's interested in learning the flute, let me know. And if you're not a veteran, we can direct you in ways to learn the flute. So we started giving these flutes out a few years ago, but before that we gave out PVC flutes, and these were actually more expensive. I'm going to move this. We found a flute maker in Troy who gave us a very big discount on wooden flutes, and they were $5 cheaper than these. So I'm going to play a little bit in this, and you can hear the difference. So that's the PVC, and then this is the wooden one. So you can see this has a much nicer sound, and it's a nicer instrument to have than the PVC. Although the PVC is good, you know, for if you want to leave it in the car or whatever, just have on hand. Turn it on. We call these Native American style flutes as opposed just to Native American, because the style denotes that it was made by someone who is not Native American, and also we're not Native American, so they're called Native American style flutes. No musical experience is necessary. We usually don't read music, and that's why you saw I moved the music stand. There's no music on it. We usually start out by camaraderie in the flute circle when we talk. There's a lot of talk about aches and pains and things like that. And then we'll go around and do some finger exercises, and then maybe somebody will play what they're working on, and we'll just go around the circle and do that. We also do long tones, which helps us to warm up and relax, and it makes the tone sound better with the flute. So another thing we do is duets. We pair up and do duets. So Lee and I are going to do a high and low duet with the same A flute. And what that entails is one of us will play on the high notes and one of us will play on the low notes. And then we might just switch mid, while we're playing without any kind of, we just kind of keep an eye on each other. So we'll see what happens. Another way to play high and low duets is actually using a low flute and a high flute. So that's what we're going to do now. So as you can see, this is a really small high flute.
We work in octaves, so this is a G. It would be 3, where her G is like 5, so she's 2 octaves above. So.
So you may have noticed some extra notes in there, and that's because this is actually a drum flute, so. I can play on both sides. Well, that's a drum. Some make songs that we've made up at home maybe and perform. I have a song that I call the Heartland song because I used to play it at the Heartland Nursing Home in Centerville. So I'll play that now on my favorite flute, which is actually a plastic flute. This one. He's gonna play a song that she wrote for her father.
I've been combining it, the song's called Lynn's Crossing. My dad passed in 2019 and the flute is, it's a very good way to deal with anxiety, depression, upset. So that was my way of dealing with it, but now I kind of pair it with another little song at the end, which is called Song of Hope. So we all know once you get past a certain point, you see a little hope, so.
We brought a number of flutes with us, so we thought we'd demonstrate some of the different flutes. This one is what I call a tribute flute, and I had the POW MIA insignia painted on it, and that's a tribute to my Uncle Don, who's missing in action. His plane exploded over the South China Sea in 1966. And the reason I wasn't here on July 4th to play for you is because I had just returned from a trip to Washington, D.C., where the government briefs family members of people who are missing in action during the war. So I was in D.C. and they gave me a very nice certificate in recognition of my dedication. And it's been a long 57 years. William's going to perform on a branch flute.
This flute was basically made from a branch, as you can see. I used it, I did a music camp with the church in Beavercreek, and I told the story of the first flute. Well, there's a lot of different versions, but you may hear the flute called a courting flute or a love flute. So what I played for them, and I'll play for you, it's short. It's a traditional Cheyenne love song. So if the flute decides to cooperate.
Flutes are based on the pentatonic minor scale. So it's not a do re mi type of instrument. So I'm going to play a tin whistle, a regular scale that you're all familiar with. And then Lee's going to show the difference by playing on it's the same key, only in minor. And she'll demonstrate the minor scale. This is the penny whistle. I don't know if you could tell the difference, but this is definitely do re mi.
The great thing about the pentatonic scale, when Carolyn said that you don't have to have any musical background, any note on that scale will go well with another note on that scale. So you're not constantly trying to figure out, can I play this note with that note? Providing you stay on the scale. That's the big caveat.
So we use rhythm instruments sometimes, also in the circle. So I'm going to play a beat, and Lee's going to play something to that beat, and then we'll switch. I got small. I like small things.
I'll use my little drum. Brought a little buffalo drum, so. Just love.
This fits.
A little.
Song. There we go. A little bit about our history. Dee Meredith and I, who was also a veteran, started planning this in 2017. And then we started it in 2018. At first, we met at the Washington Township Rec Center. And then we met at the VA, and we met at the museum. We also, she worked in hospice, so we also met there sometimes, and we played for the patients there. The museum moved to Fairborn, but meanwhile there was COVID, so we took 2 years off. So that's pretty much our history. We have about 20 veterans who have participated, and we've given out at least 15 flutes. Would you like to demonstrate the flute?
Drone or Mayan harmony drum?
Anyone you want?
Maybe I'll be great. This is it's called a Mayan harmony drone. And it is like 2 flutes, but it's only like the bottom 3 holes of those 2 flutes. And it harmonizes, each side harmonizes with the other. You kind of have to rewire your brain to play this because it just don't play it like you play regular flutes. Apologize, I wasn't sure I was going to play this, okay. Plus, it's got two lovely thumb holes on back, which makes it even more of a challenge because you don't keep those covered, they squeal really well. So we'll give you an idea. This is a B on the long, I mean, E on the long side and a B on the other side, so. That's the E.
We're gonna end with a call and response duet on our A flutes. And then we'll add, you can ask us questions. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
How did you first learn about these flutes?
I just happened to see something in the paper about a flute festival at Sunwatch several years ago when I went. And I thought, that's so relaxing, I need that in my life. So I bought a little tiny pocket flute, thinking, well, maybe I'll like it. So, yeah, it went kind of crazy from there.
I'm not real good with American Indian history. Were all the tribes musical?
That I don't know because, I'm not Native American, so I don't know but I believe that they all use the flute for something, you know?
I think all the tribes basically had some form of flute. But unlike what we might envision them sitting around the campfire playing the flute was basically ceremonial. And we wouldn't have been playing the flute because women did not play the flute. There's certain things that now have changed a lot, like the women didn't do certain dances. Now they are starting to be allowed to do certain dances. So I can't tell you a lot because every tribe differs. And so what you find out about one tribe doesn't necessarily completely transfer over to every tribe.
Any other questions?
So how did you make the connection of flutes to veterans and how do you get people to come to you for that?
Well, at the Flute Festival, the nurse that I mentioned before, we ate lunch together and we thought this would be really good for veterans. So that's how that started. If somebody wanted to join, we're actually on Facebook and you can contact me. I have business cards with me too.
Any other questions?
Are there any recordings? Like tapes or discs?
Yes, there's many recordings from different artists.
They can be purchased.
Mhm. Yeah, you can find them online, I'm sure. Also at the Flute Festival, they have it every year in June. There's a lot of CDs there.
It's held down now at Patricia Allen Park down near Springboro. And they've been holding it on the first weekend of June. There's lots of flute vendors, other vendors, and some wonderful performers. We had a Native American, Lowry Begay, who is also a hoop dancer, which is quite interesting to see someone do the hoop dance. It's basically a small hula hoop, and I don't know what he had, about 10, 15 of them. I don't know, but it's phenomenal. But anyway.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, well, as was our custom, we are donating a book to the Beavercreek Community Library on behalf of our speakers who have signed it. Miss Frogbottom's Field Trips. Thanks, Beth. So, Mike Swig, last pitch for golf outing.
If I haven't heard from you, you're not on the list.
All right. So please keep an eye on upcoming programs at beavercreekrotary.com and Facebook. Does anybody else have anything else for the good of the club? Shannon?
Just a real quick reminder, if you've not signed up for the Dragons Night on August the 5th at 7:05, today is the last day. We're gonna close that out. If you sign this, you get to sit with the fun group, so that's the rest of it. On top of that, half of the proceeds goes back to Rotary International and should be a good time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, if everyone will rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. Please say this.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That sounds great to me. Yeah. Everybody have a great week. Come on. That's good.